Hi, I'm Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. That's still my email, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing concierge. For your questions about this or any watch, reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. Today, we're discussing a lovely launch, 99 pieces from Czapek. Launched in 2020, this 99-piece steel edition is the Antarctique Terre Adelie Secret Alloy, a watch that represented the initial year of the Antarctique Integrated Bracelet Sports Watch. As with the Vacheron Overseas Generation 3, this is one that I consider to be among the leaders in the segment. 40.5 millimeters in diameter, it is 11.2 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, just the case, 46 millimeters from end link to end link, the total distance across the wrist, 53.8 millimeters, but don't let that deceive you. This actually wears quite well on a smaller wrist. Let me show you. Taking a look on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it fits nicely. That flared bracelet arcs around the wrist elegantly. So if you look at where the lugs of the case are, that really determines both ergonomically and aesthetically how big it is. Don't be scared by that 53.8 millimeter end link to end link span. You can really see this watch fits nicely, and it's flat with a sloped flank and a low profile. Being only 11.2 millimeters thick and nicely shaped, it'll slide underneath a dress cuff. This down the barrel shot really shows how far inboard the edge of my wrist those lugs are. The bracelet's a lovely piece. Maybe it's not quite as nuanced in its detail as something from Audemars Piguet or Vacheron or Patek Philippe, but is beautifully integrated. You can see the slope of the case becomes the taper of the lug hood, becomes the taper of the bracelet. These intermediate links in high polish are designed to be Czapek C's, so the first letter of the name of the company. Taking a look in profile, you can see we have removable links that are fixed by pins and sleeves, which is a great way to avoid gouging the links themselves. A lot of times people round off the screws inside links and the links get stranded. This strategy has been adopted not because Czapek wanted to pinch pennies, but because they wanted to avoid rounding off screws and stranding links. And that's the philosophy right here. You can also see that there is an irregular size link on each side. So if you're in between sizes, you can remove that and fine-tune the fit. We have a double folding clasp here, and unlike a lot of watches in this genre, this doesn't feel like a generic piece. You can see internally it's Czapek branded. It's very robust. It's a non-sequential close, so either side can close first. You have the company logo externally and a twin trigger release system. This is really thick gauge steel, so it feels very robust. Twin triggers, you have to press them both to pop it open. Taking a little bit of a look on the bottom, you can see that there is a dial. You can actually turn this dial, and if you have more nails than I do, this is a quick release system that allows you to easily remove the links of the bracelet. And you can see, unfortunately, I've groomed my nails down for your viewing pleasure. But if you have normally sized fingernails, you just turn that dial and the bracelet pops right off. The watch comes with an accessory rubber strap. Czapek has other options too if you want to change the look of your watch. We have a screw down crown with a combination of media blast and polished, 120 meter water resistance. The case features little hollows on the flanks that are attractive and articulate the case band. We also have full satination across all surfaces except for the bezel, which has a very short vertical lip in satin and then a large polished conical profile, a dramatically boxed and cambered sapphire. That's an upscale sapphire, not a cheap piece. The more boxed and cambered, the more expensive the sapphire. We have the secret alloy dial. So what is secret alloy? Well, it's 55% precious metal. It's a combination of platinum, gold, silver, and palladium. And it has this wonderful brushed grain. We have applied indices. You can see we have a vertical curtain type satination from top to bottom. Then we have a circular concentric brushing around the minute track. We also have these applied rhodium plated dart style indices with hands that are well loomed. And we'll do a quick check of the loom of the watch. The hour and minute hands are superimposed. Both are loomed. We have a date disc that sits in a faceted aperture, and you can see the Czapek logo is the counterweight to the red varnished seconds hand. The watch has a stop seconds function, which frankly every modern expensive watch should have, but for some reason does not. We also have a quick set system, so you can rapidly cycle the date, and you can see they've used a wonderfully unique and serifi font for those numerals. Flipping it all over. Okay. That is how you quick release the bracelet. I'm going to show you the movement, which is a special construction created exclusively for Czapek by Harry Winston Opus 12 designer Emmanuel Boucher, as well as Daniel Martinez. And the watch is absolutely spectacular when viewed from this side, because this movement doesn't just have fine finish, it has architecture. And you could see we have the barrel, and then down from the barrel, individual finger bridges leading to the escapement. We have a mass that is a micro rotor, double finished, actually triple finished, with bevels, media blast, and satination, and it is made of 100% recycled platinum, which is nice. Now, garbage platinum floating around on the sides of our highways and in spinning gyres in our oceans, it's not really a problem, but it does take a lot of energy and sometimes a questionable humane practices to extract platinums. So seeing it reused and recycled has advantages that are not explicitly environmental, and which I appreciate. It sits on ceramic bearings, which is always nice, and then energizes a 56-hour power reserve. We have the hacking seconds, the quick set date. We have 5-position chronometer style adjustment and 28 pivot joules. You can see it beats away at 4 hertz, which is a nice modern beat rate. It has a free sprung balance with a full balance bridge, very shock resistant, and adjustments done using the variable inertia blocks on the balance rim or on the outer faces of the balance spokes. So this is a very sophisticated movement. And with the micro rotor, the watch can be as flat as if it had a manual wind movement and have an open, beautiful case back as though it had a manual wind movement. You can see that the bridges themselves feature recessed bases that are media blasted. And then around the edge, we have these raised, relieved, satinated channels. And then if you look carefully, you can see we also have mirrored anglage on the edge of the bridges, my favorite being the steel bridge at center, which is black polished across its top, skeletonized internally with 1, 2, 3, 4 sharp and beautifully laid interior angles inside, and then 2 more externally. And you can see that it's beautifully beveled on its outside as well. You can see the beveling on the bridges adjacent. Everything on this movement is finished to the highest standard, and it's deeply impressive both technically and aesthetically. Remember, aesthetics is both architecture, which is the size, proportion, and relation of the pieces relative to each other, and then it's also finish. And in case you're wondering what that text on the base is, it just basically says this is a free-sprung balance with a Swiss lever escapement. That's what that means right there. Now you might wonder, where does the name come from, Terre Adelie? Well, once upon a time, there was an explorer, Jules Dumont d'Urville, who went down to Antarctica and he named a swatch of land there after his wife. And that was her name. Terre Adelie became the name of that geography. And you're probably wondering, why does it say chronomet on the dial? Because this watch is adjusted by Czapek to meet the standards of the ISO 3159, which is the international chronometer standard. So that's where that comes from. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.